Hello, everyone. Eric from Helps Law Firm for Seniors and Disabled Persons here today. It's Thursday, January 15th, 2025. Good to have you here. My name's Eric, attorney for 46 years, the founder of Helps. Helps is a national law firm that represents seniors and disabled persons who owe debt they can't afford to pay. Our main mission is to protect seniors from debt collector harassment. Our second mission is to educate seniors how they can maintain their financial independence. We're not debt settlement or debt management company. When people enroll in Helps, we explain how their income is protected, how they don't need to pay their debt. They don't need to file bankruptcy. What we do is we represent them under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, which provides if you're represented by an attorney, debt collectors can no longer call or send demand letters anymore. They have to leave you alone. And so that's what Helps does. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat feature, and I'll answer them there. And then I also have questions that people have written to us recently, or people that have recently enrolled within the last day or two in Helps that I'm going to read. Okay? So good to have you here. Don't hesitate to ask questions. We don't mind. That's what we're here for. Okay? Person contacts us from Missouri. A lot of the things I talk about may be familiar to you. And if they are familiar, and if I don't answer the question or you want more information, don't hesitate to call. Our number's down here below, 855-435-7787. You can get on our website, www.helpsishere.org, or you can look at more information. So New Dimension says, Eric, please post how to get started with you. Pretty easy. Just call us on the phone, okay, or get on our website. When people enroll in Helps, they enroll over the phone, okay. What we do is when you call, we ask you a series of questions like, where do you live? Married or single? Are you working? What's your age? Are you buying your home or renting? Do you buying a car? Do you own a car? How much do you owe on the home? How much do you owe on the car? What's it worth? Has anyone sued you? If you added all your debt up together, approximately what would you owe? Basic information like that. We save it, and some people call 3, 4, 5, 6 times before they decide to enroll. So, but I'm not trying to enroll people today. I mean, it's up to you. We're here to help you. Okay, and you can always call, or you can on our website. You can just a second here. On our website, you can fill out a form too. Okay, so this person contacts us in Missouri, and it says he was quite leery through it all. These are notes from one of our staff, one of our paralegals, but so extremely thankful for the information I was able to give her. She had multiple medical problems, and she did describe them here. Can hardly walk, has a hard time hearing, 2 pending lawsuits, very worried about her home and her car. Discuss that if there's a judgment, they can make a lien on the home, but they're not going to foreclose on the home for different reasons. She has a $90,000 mortgage. She has some equity in the state where she lives that she's entitled to. They're not going to take steps to take her home. She has a vehicle that's worth some money, but it's within the state exemption, so you wouldn't lose that home, that car. Even if you have a car, see, almost every state has exemption laws which protect a certain amount of equity in certain types of property. And even if you have equity in a car, for example, over and above the state exemption, it's not the practice of consumer judgment creditors to go after a car. They simply don't do it. She wants her daughter to have her home, but the daughter really doesn't care, so she will consider joint tenants, rights of survivorship. We talk about how you can add someone's name to the title of the home so that when you pass away, the property goes to the other person, like a child, for example. Talked about her bank accounts, how uh, her Social Security that's deposited into her bank account. Twice that amount is automatically protected from garnishment, regardless of what other funds are in there or where they came from. We emailed her some. We have a whole series of emails on different topics, and we emailed her emails about how her bank account was protected from garnishment. Do I have to go to court? Explain why she didn't need to have to go to court. What happens when a helps client is sued? Joint tenants' rights of survivorship, and then a general email that talks about helps and there's links to our web page and our YouTube page. It says this lady is so grateful for what helps has done for her today. She finally has hope and has simply lifted her spirits to where she can think about these things. It says sweet lady. So I'm kind of guessing I knew who wrote this, but okay. So this person contacts us from Georgia, calling for her sister, who's struggling with a timeshare she got wrapped up with. They talked to folks who offer to buy timeshares, scammers, but aren't able to pay the associated fees. Discuss the protections, no need to worry. So, a couple of years ago, I probably filed 30 or 40,000 bankruptcies before I started helps. A couple of years ago, I talked to my former partners and I asked them, I said, you guys, do you remember ever in our practice, and like I said, we filed tens of thousands of bankruptcies, that we've ever had a client come to us that was ever sued on a timeshare? They all said, no, Eric, we don't remember. No one's ever been sued for money on a timeshare. Now, they may file some papers to get the timeshare back, but they don't sue people for money. So you don't need to hire anyone to get rid of a timeshare. If you got a timeshare and you can't afford it, you don't want it, just stop making the payment on it. Okay. There's really not I don't believe there is a market for used timeshares. Now, someone might try to tell you there is, but if they tell you there is and they want you to pay them money for them to try to sell it for you, they're scamming you. They'll never sell it for you. If there was money in it, then they get paid their fee when they sell it to someone, like a realtor. You're going to hire a realtor to sell your home. You don't have to pay him money up front to sell your home. He's going to get paid if he sells the home. If he doesn't sell the home, he doesn't get paid. So if you're wrapped up with a timeshare you can't afford, you can let it go back. You don't have to keep it. Okay? Be real clear on that. This person contacts us from Illinois. I think they may have enrolled today. In fact, it says, I'm just looking at possibilities at this time. See, I've got a series that they call us, and I've got the calls as they come in. And I think they called probably in June. And we emailed, oh, this was July 2nd. And we emailed them a couple emails about helps and what we do. And then it says here that we called her on July 8th, and she said that we've called her too many times and she doesn't want our services. So when people call, we try to reach them. We try to call them back. Okay. And apparently we got through and she said, oh, I don't want your services. Well, that was at 12:01 p.m. And then at 4:36 p.m., she called back again. She, uh, and spoke to a different paralegal and said, I've not missed any payments, but I have to get in my savings each month. Recently had a change of living arrangements. I didn't pay rent before, but now I do, plus utilities, car, home insurance. Um, so we sent her an email saying that she'd asked that we not contact her anymore because she wasn't interested in services, but she just called us a few minutes ago. It says, we spoke with you briefly on July 8th and were advised that you were not interested in our services, so we've removed you from our contact list. Are you wishing to be added back to our contact list? We're happy to contact you again if that is your wish. We just want to be sure before we call you again. Thanks very much. And then it looks like she called us the next day. So I'm reading this for the first time, so it's always fun to do that. Thank you for your reply. Yes, I did contact you last July. Uh, oh, this was in January of this year, January 9th. But had not moved yet and was unsure what to do. I have been on my own for 4 months and have found I do need to do something. As they say, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Please put me on your list and let me know how to proceed. I do have a few questions. Um, and then we wrote her back saying that we added her and that we would contact her again. Said something about little black log from the holidays. And we sent her some emails about what helps it did. And then we connected on January 12th, which would have been like 3 days ago. She contacted us. She said, since I'm not sure how I'm going ahead with this, I have one question. I have some ACH payments coming up, payments coming out of her bank account to pay some debt. And I stopped the auto payments. Hope this is okay. Uh, after I speak to your paralegals, after she speaks to us, she wants to know, will letters to my creditors go out this month or should I make January payments? I've never missed a payment nor had late payments. Honestly, if I don't need to, it would make life easier, but I will if I have to. Sorry to take up so much of your time. And we wrote her back. Uh, looks like we contacted her today. And we told her, no, you don't have to make the payments. Yeah, if you're going to enroll in help, stop making the payments. It's just a waste of money to do otherwise. So what we did is we asked her questions, where she lives, she married or single, um, what's her age, what's her source of income, she bought a car, own a car, buying a home, own a home. Has anyone filed a lawsuit? Um, approximately what she owes in debt. She owes any taxes or student loans. We need this basic information, and we explain what we do. And then if a person decides to enroll in helps, we just enroll you over the phone. We click a button, and you're going to get an email from us that says "Welcome to Help." So you're going to get that while you're on the phone with us right then. So that's what, and our most important thing we say to our clients is that we want you to stop worrying, and if you ever do worry, you pick up the phone and call. So Miss H says, I got a letter from a law firm saying he saw the court records that a credit card was suing me. Eric, where do I look to see what he saw in the courthouse? I want to see what he saw. You can't do it everywhere, but most counties in the nation now have their court records, their public records are linked up with the internet. And you can just type in your state, the county court records, and you can see lawsuits that have been filed. And some bankruptcy attorneys check those records out, or they'll subscribe to a service that lets them know who's been sued, where they practice law, and they'll send an advertisement letter for bankruptcy out. And that's what that is. That's what he saw. Um, if your mortgage sends someone to check the home, are they going to come all the way to the door? No, that would normally, and there'd be no reason for them to go check on the home unless you're behind on the payment and they suspect the home may be abandoned. If you stop making the payment or abandon the home, or if you stop making the payment, they want to make sure you haven't abandoned it, because if you've abandoned it, they want to secure the home. They want to change the door lock so that squatters don't move in there. They want to protect the property while it's going through foreclosure. So normally they wouldn't come to the door unless they suspect you're not living there anymore. In fact, more than once I've talked to bankers who on dealing with mortgages that have explained to me they would much rather have someone living in the home while it's going through foreclosure than the property be vacant. If it's vacant, then it's subject to vandalism, but if someone's living there, then there's heat is on, the pipes aren't going to break, so usually the lawn's being mowed. Someone's usually taking somewhat care of the home, even if it's going through foreclosure. Okay. So this person contacts us from Connecticut. They first contacted us on December 29th. They get Social Security and a pension. They've been sued by Capital One. They're struggling, and they struggle with other credit card debt. We explained to them they've been sued, and they wanted to know if they had to go to court, and the answer was no. If they owe the money, they don't need to go to court. The other side would simply get a judgment, but they can't collect, they can't touch your Social Security, they can't touch your pension. And then we explain to clients, and I haven't explained it yet, if someone sues you and gets a judgment, if they were to garnish your bank account, a law went into effect on 2012 that tells a bank that if they get a writ of garnishment, they have to examine your bank account and determine where the money came from that was deposited in your bank account. And if money came from a federal source like Social Security, they're to take that amount you get each month times 2 and automatically protect that sum from garnishment, regardless of what other funds are in there or where they came from. So if you got $1,500 in Social Security, $3,000 your bank account's protected automatically. So you don't have to go to court. When it helps clients get sued, you get us a copy of the lawsuit. Usually we just need the first 2 or 3 pages, 3 or 4 pages. We're going to send a letter to the attorney who sued you. Let him know that your income is protected. You're not going to pay the debt. We understand they're going to get a judgment. We're going to call you, explain why you don't need to go to court, why your assets are protected, and how your bank account is protected. We're going to go over that with you so you don't worry. And we'll send emails on that. So this person that contacted us first on December 29th said they would like to review what we sent with her daughter. She wanted to review it with her daughter, which is great. We want you to feel completely comfortable with what Helps does and how we help seniors. Remember, we're not debt management or debt settlement. You're not going to pay your debt. You don't need to pay your debt. You don't need to file bankruptcy normally. Okay. Why don't you need to file bankruptcy? Because your income is protected, like I've explained, your Social Security, your pension. I started Helps back in 2012. For that, I did bankruptcy, but a lot of seniors would come to me and I'd explain to them, hey, you don't need to file bankruptcy. No one can do anything to you. And they couldn't afford to file bankruptcy, but I knew if I sent them home, creditors were going to call and make their lives miserable. So Helps was started to represent seniors under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, which provides if you're represented by an attorney, collectors have to deal with the attorney. So when you enroll in Helps, you're our client, ongoing, literally forever. So you give us the creditors you owe money to, we send them a cease and desist letter, and they have to communicate with us and not you. Okay? So that was on December 29th. And then she wanted to review everything with her daughter. And they called back, it looks like day before yesterday. And she lives with her daughter, it says here. And the last thing it says, uh, lives with the daughter. They reviewed what we sent them. They have decided we are a good fit. We are a good fit. We're a very good fit for seniors that have these problems. The magic about helps is we're there ongoing. It's not just, usually when people hire an attorney, it's like he's going to do this one specific thing. You're going to send this one letter, or he's going to do this, help you draft this document, or deal with this certain problem. And then when you're done with him, you're done with it. But with helps, you're a client literally forever. So what that means is if you get a new debt collection notice from a new debt collector, or if the debt collector that we send a letter to now sells it to a new debt collector and you get a new debt collection notice 6 months or a year or 2 years down the road, you get that to us and we'll send a letter out to that new debt collector. Or if you're sued in the future, you get us a lawsuit, we'll send a letter to the attorney who sued explaining why you're not going to pay it. We'll call you why you don't need to worry. Okay? Um, I don't know why it would have come to the door. I'm behind, but I have made arrangements with them. I made one this month, going to make another. Uh, that's usually why they send if you've abandoned the property, and so they may have suspected that no one was living there, maybe, and then the guy that looks at your property, he doesn't work for the bank. That's his job. He probably works for a bunch of banks, and his job is he gets a whole list of addresses, and he's supposed to go by and see if someone's living there. He, I doubt very much he's there to talk to you about the debt. Okay, Jamie, that would not be normal. That would be unusual. So this person contacts us from Missouri, and they say, uh, "How much does it cost to enroll with Helps? And what if I don't know how much debt I have, but getting phone calls from portfolio recovery, but I don't answer their calls? I'm turning 68 next week. I'm on Social Security and a small pension." So, okay, first off, we don't turn anyone away that needs our help. Okay, we do have a guideline for our fees. They're pretty modest. Remember, when you enroll in Helps, you don't have to pay your debt anymore. But the most a person would pay normally would be $40 a month for 24 months, then $20 for 24 months, then free thereafter. And that usually the payment doesn't begin until 30 or 60 days in the future. So I'll give you an example. If you got paid on the fourth, uh, usually you get paid on either the third of the month or the second, third, or fourth Wednesday. So let's say, for example, you got paid on the fourth Wednesday of the month. So today is January 15th. If you're a person enrolled today, their payment wouldn't begin until like February 28th. The 28th would be always after uh, the fourth Wednesday of the month. Okay, so they wouldn't start on January 28th because January 28th would be less than 30 days. So it's payment begins between 30 and 60 days. Um, so I don't know how much debt I have, but getting phone calls from portfolio recovery. So we don't need the amount that you owe. All we need is the name and address of the creditor and the account number. Now, if you don't have that, you get as much information as you can. And if you later get a notice from a collector that you forgot about or you had incomplete information, you can always give that to us. In other words, we don't need all your creditors at one time. I'm on Social Security and a small pension payment each month. That's protected. Don't need to worry. Person from Washington contacts us and they say, I'm 64 years old, female. I have approximately 45,000 in credit card debt. I'm not late yet on any payments, but they are increasing my annual percentage rate, which adds more and more, and there's no visible reduction in what I owe. I've currently closed a family business and not able to continue these payments for the credit cards. My income is $971 a month through Social Security and widow's compensation. No phone calls yet, but I'm trying to avoid the stress of non-payment calls that will be on their way next month. They will be. As soon as they start missing a payment, they're going to start calling. I'm looking for advice on how to deal with these creditors. You don't need to pay them. It's that simple. Your Social Security is protected. If you have a little other income, it's going to be okay. You don't need to worry about the debt. Yeah, and if you want our help, you can enroll in helps. The fee would be either waived or it'd be a very minimal amount. Uh, the fee also could be like $30 for 24 months, then $15 for 24 months free thereafter, or $20 for 24 months, $10 for 24 months free thereafter. So we make it work for people. Okay. Person contacts us from Ohio. I have a debt collector with a phony issue. They're trying to get me to pay that I believe they owe me. I have all the documents from these slimers, from an incompetent security company. We can talk on the phone for understandable points on this. I have all the paperwork in a folder now. I need to watch your podcast and feel you're the attorney I need. Really enjoy it, by the way. If I need to be a client member, we can discuss that. I'm not opposed at all. I'll be free this mid-afternoon. I can call you when I'm free. Thanks. Have a blessed day. You don't need to talk to me. I mean, we've got lots of paralegals and other attorneys that you can talk to. It helps. And you may need our help. You may not. But if your income is Social Security or pension, any form of retirement income, 401k, IRA, that money's protected. It doesn't need to be used to pay a debt you can't afford to pay. I've been waiting for this question. Do you think that the president will be able to cap the credit card rates to 10%? I kind of doubt it. I think there have to be a law to do that passed, and I'm not sure that they'd have enough support. The problem with capping interest rates is that, and I'm not an expert on this, and I try not to be political, is if they cap the interest rates, the banks don't make any money, and they would tighten up credit significantly. I think the president thinks he can do anything he wants. Maybe he thinks that. Yeah. So I don't know if that's going to happen. But by just saying that, maybe what it does is it encourages the credit card companies to maybe take their foot off the pedal, so to speak, and not raise the interest rates as much as they have, because sometimes it's just ridiculous what they charge. So this person contacts us from Florida. During the last few months, I have been unable to pay credit card payments or personal high interest loan payments. They contacted us first on January 5th, just a few days ago. My only income is Social Security, and I have no assets, no home or car. I'm in a rental house. I'm in a rental house with my disabled son, and pay all the expenses related to the home, including utilities. I pay for most of the food. My son has an extreme mental and emotional problems, and and sometimes only sometimes able to work, but not always. Uh, he's not able to drive. He's got a driver's license, but may not be able to drive because of panic attacks. It says I'm receiving threatening emails, no calls, as I had to give up my cell phone due to inability to pay. Two of the personal loans have been turned over to collection agencies. I'm unsure how to proceed or how to respond. I've written to credit card companies acknowledging that their emails and saying I'm unable to pay. I'm looking for guidance on how to handle the collections and emails. Well, tell them you're not able to pay isn't going to stop anything. They're still going to try to get you to pay. It's like they're all competing against each other. Everyone wants to be the one that gets paid. They don't want to be the one that leaves you alone. If they said, "Oh, we got this letter. She says she can't pay," and they stop calling you, what about the creditor ignores that and keeps bothering you, and then you pay them? So, no, they're going to keep calling even if you tell them you can't pay it. So when she called us, we emailed her some of our emails, our general email that has links to our webpage, and an email that talks about YouTube Live and why she shouldn't worry about old debt. Special email that talks about that. And she called back, or she emailed back on a couple of days later and says, "Thank you. I plan to register with you this week. Your company provides the assistance I need." She apparently checked us out and found out that we were going to be the ones that help her, which I'm sure we are. And then she called back 3 days ago. After researching and reviewing your information, I would like to sign up with your program. How do I proceed? And what information do I provide? Do I sign up online or via telephone? I have credit card and personal loans. I'm senior Social Security income. Thank you. So, yeah, when people enroll in helps, they do it over the phone. You don't do it over the internet. I mean, you can check us out over the internet, but we talk to you on the phone. And then when you decide to enroll, when the fee doesn't begin until 30 or 60 days in the future. All we need is a debit card name, number, and expiration date. Um, and so you don't pay any money up front to enroll in helps. And then you give us the creditors you owe money to. As soon as we hang up the phone, if a creditor were to call you and they hadn't got our letter yet, which they wouldn't have gotten because you just enrolled, but you would tell them to call us. If they call us on the phone, you're going to be in our system as our client. And then what we do is we click a button while you're on the phone, and you're going to get an email that says "Welcome to Helps." It tells us how to get us the creditors that you owe money to, that you can text them, fax them, email, or mail them to us. So that's what we do. So we wouldn't want this person to worry. Don't need to worry. So Jimmy asked about, in the 60s if they ever capped the interest rate. You know, the interest rate normally it's called usury if it's too high, and some states have usury laws, which means they limit the amount of interest that can be charged on certain debt. But most states don't do that. The problem with usury laws is that or the problem some people say with usury laws is that it dries up the availability of people being able to get credit, because if you limit the amount of interest someone can get on a loan, they may do the math and say, well, it's not worth us to make that loan because if so many people default, we'll end up losing money. So, or it makes credit far less available for people. So for that reason, a lot of states don't enforce usury laws. Okay. Person contacts us from Florida. Has Social Security and pension and credit card debt. Used her credit card with COVID and went to National Debt Relief, which is a debt settlement company. That was on January 14th. We sent her some emails. She called back an hour later. What can be done to help her? We went over what we do. The credit cards are on auto pay. So she is with Reach Financial, whoever that is. It sounds like a debt settlement company or debt management company. We went over how to stop payment with them. Would she have to wait for them to call her before she sent them to us? No, you could, if we have 5 people call helps, maybe one is being sued, 3 or 4 behind being harassed. Only 1 out of 5 is completely current on everything. It doesn't matter where you are. She said that she's going to gather up the information and then will give us a call back, which apparently she did, and enrolled in helps. Why would a credit helps client need to think about credit card rates? I don't know. I don't, because we've been there, and it's kind of like, maybe sometimes people that enroll in helps, they might have a credit card they want to keep. Not always, but sometimes they do. Usually, if you have a credit card with a smaller balance or nothing is owed, no reason you couldn't keep that credit card as long as you kept current on the payments, or you didn't have a credit card backed by the same bank that you weren't going to pay. Person contacts us from Missouri. I've been watching your videos about help for seniors. I want to know if you guys could call me back. She gave us her phone number. That was on January 11th. And we called her back on January 12th. 2 times. Didn't get through, and so we called again on January 15th. See, when someone calls us and they leave a message, we're going to call. We've got a system. We're pretty systematized. We're going to call you back, you know, 3 or 4 times, and after 3 or 4 times, then we're not going to bother you anymore. But we called her back again on the 15th. Left a message at 10:40 a.m. our time. 2 minutes later, this person called us back, which is typical. We left a message. Sometimes we'll leave a message. Sometimes we'll send an email if we've got the email address saying, "Hey, we attempted to call you." It says here they're in a lot of debt. They have payday loans and a bunch with a firm financial. Current on the debt, will not be able to pay it coming next month. And we discussed her situation, how her income was protected, her assets are protected. She could stop paying the debt. Even if she got sued, they couldn't take anything from her. Nothing. And you know what it says next? It says she is ready to enroll. Yeah. So a lot of people find out that they don't need to pay their debt and that no one can take anything from them, even if they're sued, and that you can have an attorney that represents you to stop the creditors from harassing you. It's kind of a no-brainer that our help, we can help people. Okay, but we want you to feel comfortable, so we want you to call as many times as you need until you feel comfortable with what we do. So this person contacts us from California. Okay. So this was a son and his mom. They lived together. The son was 67 and the mom was 88. And it said they originally called and left a message they wanted help filing bankruptcy. And we sent them some emails about helps and helps versus bankruptcy. Uh, it says the the son and his mother live together. Both receive Social Security. They're buying a home. They live in California. They own an old car. And we enrolled them together as though they were husband and wife. We do that if uh, if someone calls and you're not married, we can still enroll you as though you are married. Or if it's a parent and a child and they live under the same roof, we enroll you into the same file. Okay. So there's not two fees, there's just one fee. Now, why do we do that? Why don't we just do it? I mean, we're not representing you in court. We're not representing anyone that you are married or anything like that. It's just easier to handle the problem. So if you're with one of your kids or something, you're living in the same household, then we can quote you fees and enroll you as, together. Okay. Okay. A person contacts us from Florida, the age of 79. It says he's just looking into his options. He is aware of the difference between defaulting on his debt and bankruptcy, not concerned about his credit due to his age. We went over what we did. This was on December 29th. And he said that he wasn't interested in our services at this time, which is fine. He's just trying to figure out his options. And it says he'll give us a call when and if he decides to enroll. That was on December 29th, a couple of weeks ago. He called a week later. I've already turned off the auto pay on some cards, missed my first payment. Can I choose to keep a couple of credit cards current for emergencies, or should I default on all the cards? You can keep a card or more. I usually tell people you probably want it to be one that has a lower balance or nothing is owed. Yeah, I mean, you might not want to keep a card where you owe 10,000 on it. You might want to keep the card that you owe 1,000 or 500 on. And then also maybe a card that where you have a little bit more credit availability on it. Now, there's no reason why you wouldn't keep that card you want to keep, as long as you don't have another card backed by that same bank that banks the card you want to keep that you're not going to pay. So if you don't pay a card that's back one credit card and it backs a bank on a card that you want to keep, then all the credit cards backed by that bank are going to be cut off. And helps is different than bankruptcy. See, in bankruptcy, uh, you only have to list your debts. But if you have a credit card you owe nothing on, it's free and clear. You'd say, oh, well, I don't have to list that credit card. I'm going to keep that credit card. Well, not really, because the banks subscribe to a service and lets them know if someone filed bankruptcy. And if you file bankruptcy, they're going to cut your credit off whether you owe them anything or not. Now, with helps, there's not a service that says someone signed up with helps. But the information that you've been filed bankruptcy is readily available. And on credit reports anymore, don't carry the information about being sued or judgments. They stopped doing that about 2018. So that person from Florida is 79. Okay, and then they asked if they could keep a card or two for emergency. The answer is yes. Should I wait to sign up until my credit cards start to call? No, you don't need to do that. This person says he's very excited to find out that helps was an option. He's still drinking his morning coffee and opening his eyes. He's going to call back later to enroll. And he called back the next day and enrolled, which would have been today. Okay. Well, okay. There haven't been a whole lot of questions today, and I'm at the end of things that I've written out. So and it's the last day this week. Thursday's the last day we do it, but we're going to have helps next week, same time, Monday through Thursday. I want to thank you for participating. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to call 855-435-7787. Press the like button, subscribe to our channel, okay? And we always ask our clients to share what helps does with others. A lot of seniors need this help. They have no idea it's available. Okay, so I'm done. Have a great day, and I will talk to you next Monday. God bless. Bye.